Here's the exact spot I want to start today, because I bet at least part of this describes you right now. You've been using AI to look at your business, you ask it a question, it gives you an answer, and it actually works. Sort of. But then you go do it again the next month, and you can't remember which file you used. You've got a folder full of exports with file names like download 3 that don't tell you anything. You can't ask a question that pulls from two different files at the same time because AI can't connect to both of them on its own. And every single time you sit down to analyze something, you're starting completely from scratch. But it doesn't have to be that way. There are a few specific steps you can take before you ever start an analysis, and they solve exactly the problems I just described. They mean you can find the file you used last month with a name that tells you something instead of a random number. They also mean that you can pull two files together and get one real answer instead of being stuck asking one narrow question at a time. And most importantly, they mean you're not rebuilding your analysis from scratch every single time you sit down to work. So let's redefine what it actually means to use AI as a data analyst for your business, because most people get this part a little bit wrong before they even start. Here's the this from the title, right up front. Before you ever ask AI to analyze your data, you need to build it a workshop to work in, a place where everything it needs is stocked, labeled, and ready to go. And that's the whole idea behind this series. I'm calling it Build Your AI Data Workshop. And that's exactly what we're doing together today and over the next several videos. Now, most people skip straight to the here's my file, now tell me what it means part. And that's exactly why the answer they get back often disappoints them. It's not the AI's fault, and it's not your fault either. It's a missing step, one that's really only obvious if you've actually worked as a professional data analyst before. Now, by the end of this video, you're going to understand exactly why that keeps happening. And more importantly, you're going to be able to look at your own business and point to precisely where the problem is sitting. Now, one thing I want to be clear about right away, because I don't want you waiting for it. This video is not about cleaning up messy data. That's a very real topic, but it belongs in a very different series entirely. Now, today is about something that comes before cleaning. It's about whether your AI can even find your data in the first place and whether it understands what it's looking at once it does. Think of this video as the blueprint. The actual building happens over the next several videos in this series. Now, I've spent over 27 years working as a data scientist, and here's what that actually looked like in practice. When I started a contract with a new client, I didn't just walk in and start analyzing data on day one. I got weeks or months even to learn about their data. I learned where it lived. I learned what the strange column names and codes really meant. I learned which numbers I could trust and which ones I needed to look at a second time before I used them for anything important. Now, that runway is what made me useful to them. Your AI analyst gets none of that runway though, at least not when it comes to your data. If you've given your AI a knowledge document that describes things like your brand voice, your offers, or your target audience, it can actually hold onto that from one conversation to the next. But data works a little bit differently. Most small business owners don't have a live database connected to their AI the way they'd connect a knowledge document. So when it comes to your actual numbers, your AI starts from scratch every single time you open a new conversation. It can only work with exactly what you put in front of it, and it takes you at your word for how you've described it. So if you don't tell it what a column name means, it's guessing. If you don't tell it which numbers to trust, it's treating everything as equally reliable. So here's the actual diagnosis, and I want you to really sit with this one. You're not using the AI wrong. If you've been doing the kind of analysis I described at the beginning of this video, then this is what it's actually been like. Onboarding a brilliant new analyst from scratch every single time and handing them an unlabeled box of files and asking them to figure it out. Now, no analyst on earth does their best work under those conditions, and yours can't either. All right, so what does an AI analyst need in order to do good work for you? Well, it needs the same thing any skilled person needs when they're building something real. It needs a properly stocked workshop. Think about anyone who builds things for a living. They've got the raw materials on hand, their tools are within reach, everything's labeled, and nothing gets lost in a pile someplace. For them, that's the baseline that makes the work possible at all. It's not a luxury. And that's exactly what you're going to build for your AI analyst. Now, there are 5 stations to that workshop, And you're going to want to remember the acronym STOCK, STOCK. You're going to stock your workshop one station at a time, and the rest of this video is going to walk through each one of those stations. Station 1, S stands for source. So let's start with what you have and where it lives. Now, most businesses have some version of the same core data, even if it lives in completely different places. And that includes things like sales and revenue, advertising, email, inventory, customer data, and social media engagement metrics. And for each one of those, I want you to ask yourself one honest question. Where does my data actually live right now? Is it sitting inside a platform you log into someplace? Is it in a spreadsheet? Or if we're being honest, is some of it maybe just floating around in your head? Now, I'm not asking you to move anything yet. I just want you to notice that you probably have more raw material than you realize scattered across more places than you'd like to admit. Now, station 2 stands for transfer. This one's about getting it out. Here's a blocker that trips up almost everyone, and most people don't even realize it's a problem. Data that's trapped inside a platform can't really be analyzed. AI can't reach into your Spotify dashboard or your email platform and pull the numbers out on its own. And even if your AI tool already has some kind of connection to a platform like that, it's usually built for day-to-day operations, not for pulling out your numbers so you can analyze them. The simplest path for almost everyone watching this is a manual export. Now, nearly every platform you use has some version of a download or export to CSV button. And for right now, that's your honest starting point. Yes, there are ways to automate this later, and we'll get there. I called this the simplest path for a reason. You do not need automation to get started today. It's simpler to do it manually. Station 3. O stands for organized. Now, this is where a lot of the pain from the beginning of this video actually gets solved. Storing and organizing what you've got. Where do those exported files go? And what do you call them? Give your data one home, a single cloud folder with a folder inside for each data source. And give your files names that mean something to a human being and to an AI, a date and what the file is. Don't name them something vague like download 3, because that name won't mean anything when you look at it a few months from now. This is the difference between a workshop and a junk drawer. But real organization here isn't just about naming your files well. It also means saving the specific questions you asked and the answers you got back right alongside the data itself. That's what actually makes an analysis repeatable next month, not just finding the file, but picking up the same questions and results you can build on again. Station 4. C stands for context. This is the direct fix for that problem we talked about earlier. Handing your AI an unlabeled box of files and asking it to figure things out on its own. Context means helping your AI actually understand what it's looking at. And there are two moves here. First, build a short cheat sheet for each of your data sets. It's just a plain language note that tells your AI what each column actually means. A CVR means conversion rate. Net rev means revenue after refunds have already been taken out. You're writing down once the kind of context a human hire would have slowly picked up over months of working with you. Second, run a quick sanity check. This isn't about the very first file you used to write your cheat sheet. Of course, that one's going to match. You built the cheat sheet from it. It matters on every export after that. Each time you pull new data, check it against your cheat sheet and confirm it still has the columns it's supposed to have. I also want to be very clear that this is not about data cleaning. We're not fixing anything yet. We're just confirming that the new file, when you download it in front of you, is actually what you think it is. Station 5. K stands for keep current. This last station is about doing exactly that. A workshop only stays useful if you restock it. So decide, on purpose and with intention, how often each dataset needs to be refreshed. Does it need to happen weekly? Monthly? Or after every campaign or launch? Any of those can be right as long as you've actually decided ahead of time instead of leaving it to whenever you have the time. One structural decision I want you to make consciously: when you add new data, are you adding it to the existing file or are you replacing the file entirely? And this matters more than it sounds like it should, because overlapping export windows are exactly how people end up with the same records counted twice. Fixing that kind of duplication is a cleaning task for later. But automating this whole restocking process with a tool like Make or Zapier is also a more advanced topic for later. So right now, all you need to do is decide about the rhythm. Now, I want you to turn this around and point it at your business specifically. You don't need any software for this, just 5 honest questions, one for each letter in stock. For the source, can you actually name where each type of your business data lives, or is some of it just living in your head? For transfer, could you get any of that data into an actual file in the next 10 minutes if you had to? For organize, if you open your files today, would the file names tell you what's actually inside them? For context, could your AI tell you what column names mean without you re-explaining it every single time? And then for keep current, do you have any real rhythm for keeping your data current, or is it whenever you happen to remember? Now, wherever you hesitated just now with these questions, or wherever you said, well, I don't have those things in place, those are the stations that need work. Closing the gap between where you are right now and being able to confidently answer each of those questions, well, that's what we're here to do. That's your blueprint for exactly what you need to build next. Source, transfer, organize, context, and keep current. STOCK. That's your whole workshop in 5 letters. That's what this series, Build Your AI Data Workshop, is all about. I'm building a checklist right now that turns everything we just covered into a step-by-step that you can actually work through on your own. I'm calling it the Build Your AI Data Workshop checklist. And once it's ready, you'll be able to find it linked in the description below. But for now, subscribe to this channel so you can catch it the moment it's out, and so you don't miss the rest of the stations in the series. We're going to build each one of these out, one video at a time. There's also a link in the description to my What's Your AI Next Steps quiz. And if you want a clear read on exactly where you're starting from and how to get to the next level, go check out the free quiz. I'm Rob Fornango, and this is the AI Growth Accelerator. Before you try to run your next analysis with AI, make sure you've actually given it a workshop to work in. Now let's go build it.